let's get ready to style things. First of all, I edited the banner here so it doesn't scroll automatically anymore. It's just so much easier to see what's going on if it isn't changing right below me all the time. Right? Then I can actually see which classes are present, etc. So that's the first thing I did. That's different. The second thing that we need to do is here in Warden, the node version. By default, it's version 10, and I forgot to change that value when I installed Warden earlier. So to change this, we have to modify the env file. Maybe you remember that from the earlier video, and I'll just switch to 16 because that's I think what I've got locally too. Yeah, and that works fine with everything Tailwind related, so I'll just switch to 16. Now we have to apply this change, and to do that we have to reinitialize the containers by doing warden env up-d. Takes a minute. Okay, let's check everything now as we want it. Yeah, very good. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is, oh, I need to start the cache watcher again too. All right. So the next thing we have to do is we have to, I want to show you, in case you're not familiar with it, I want to show you how we can create a, build the styles, create a production styles file. So this one here. So this is the theme, Magenta 2 default theme in the vendor folder. So vendor, that's the headworks folder. This is our compatibility module in Hyvä themes, and then here we have Magenta 2 default theme. That's the theme I'm currently using to develop on. Normally, this would be done, what I'm about to do, in a custom theme somewhere in app design, front end, whatever. But because I'm using the default Hyvä theme, because I'm just building a compatibility module, I'll just work straight here in Magenta 2 default theme. So how can we generate this styles.css file? Well, there are different ways to do this. Maybe first I'll talk a little bit about what Tailwind actually does to generate this file. It's kind of useful to know. So the idea is that in the templates, and I'll just choose any random template here, maybe this one. Yeah, so here we can see these are Tailwind classes. It's a utility class framework, and I won't go into the meanings of these classes right now here or here or here. It's pretty intuitive after a short amount of time. Right, so the idea is that Tailwind will inspect all the templates in a given folder structure, and then it will generate the styles for only those classes here that are actually used. And that's how this styles.css file remains pretty small, because the same classes are used again and again and again, only in different combinations. And over time, the styles.css tends to kind of max out and not grow anymore, because it's the set of classes that are used within a site are pretty similar always. So we can configure the list of directories Tailwind scans while building this file in the theme Tailwind config.js file. So that's in the web Tailwind folder. And this file, this whole folder actually, will be copied over into a child theme if people create a child theme of Hyvä. So in here, there's a purge setting, purge list, this right here. So currently only one line is active, so it's relative to this file. So we have 2 up, so we start out in here. So 1 up, we're in web, and another up, and we're in Magenta 2 default theme. And then there's a 2 asterisks here, 2 stars, which means any number of subdirectories, right? It could be 1, could be 2, could be 3, could be 4, doesn't matter. So it'll recursively iterate through all subdirectories and then scan all files ending in .phtml. So when a compatibility module is installed, this compatibility modules folder has to be added to this purge list of a theme. That's something that people building actual Hoover projects hopefully are familiar with. So they install a compatibility module and need to adjust this list here. So for now, what I want to do is I want to add the path to our compatibility module. So that would be one further up, so we're in Hoover themes, so like so, and then inside of Magenta 2 Headworks RB slider, so I'll copy this and paste it. All right, and then any number of subdirectories within our compatibility modules, and then all files ending in .phtml. So now our module is also part of this purge list. Right. Good. For a custom theme built in here in App Design Front, and this here obviously would be a lot longer, right? It would be maybe 7 folders up or whatever it is to the Magento base, and then into vendor, your namespace, and the compatibility module name here. Right. So now, how do we tell Tailwind to go ahead and scan these directories? So to do that, we go into the theme directory. So in our case here, for this video, that would be the default theme, which is in vendor, Hoover themes, Magento 2, default theme, web, Tailwind. And here we can run different scripts that are part of the package JSON. So there's build, minify, watch, build dev, build prod, browser, sync, and output success. The only really interesting one here is probably watch in regards to extension compatibility module development. There's also build prod. Maybe we'll start with build prod. That's what's used for production builds. So if we run npm run build prod, then it okay, so we need to run npm install first. Yeah, makes sense. I hadn't done that yet, so let's do this, and then we'll continue. Okay, so now let's try this again. Build prod. Now Tailwind is scanning all the templates and compiling all the CSS into the styles.css file. And then it gets minified and written into this file. So it's 73K. All right. So in contrast to that, there's also the build dev command, which nowadays has become a bit obsolete, but you know, it might still be part of an existing workflow. It was part of mine until very recently, actually. So what this does is it creates a styles.css file without purging any classes. So the styles.css file contains all possible standard Tailwind classes. So it's huge. It's almost 5 megabytes. The only reason it makes sense is that when this is loaded into the front end, all potential classes are known to the browser, so we get auto-completion in the Chrome DevTools. So that's kind of useful. But again, nowadays there's a better way to deal with this without loading 5 megabytes of styles into the browser, and I'll show that to you pretty soon. So finally, the next most interesting command actually is npm run watch. What this does is it starts a file watcher on all the files defined in the purge list, and anytime we change one of those files, it will automatically recompile the styles.css file containing only those classes. So let me just move this maybe here so we can still see what's going on there. And if I now edit, let's say this block .html here, and add a div, I'll use a custom color here. That should be some kind of purple, I guess. Width 1/3, height 20 em. So let's see how this looks. Oh, you can see here it recognized the file changed and it rebuilt the styles.css. So it now contains the classes, these classes here and the CSS for it. All right, let's reload. There we go. So that's how we'll be working mostly. The final command in the package.json file was the browser sync command, and I personally don't use that because it really makes the oh wait, not this file, this one here. There we go. Browser sync here, right here. So because what it does is it really makes the fan spin of my MacBook, and I don't know, it just doesn't tick right for me. Also, Magento isn't that fast when reloading after cache flush, so it just isn't that pleasurable for me. But I'll show you how to use it because I know other people use it, so you know your mileage might vary. So to run browser sync, we'll have to do that from the host system actually. So I'll do in here vendor themes. Right, so here it is. Now we can run the command, and we have to specify the URL that should be proxied to. So this one right here, npm, oh no, wait, we specified as an environment variable, like so. And now I'll run npm run browser sync. There we go, and it reloads. Here we have the proxy host, and there it is. Okay. Didn't I remove that div down there? Thought I did. Oh, that's the wrong. Oh no, it's still there. Okay. Okay, maybe that's not a bad example. Let me do this, then we can see when it's reloading. Is it connected? It stopped loading, so it should be connected to browser sync. So now I'll remove this here and save, and it should pick it up and reload automatically. There we go. Maybe you can hear the fans on my MacBook go already. It's almost flying away. So yeah, I've enjoyed browser sync on other projects, but for me it's not the right tool in the current setup. Maybe it will change with a more modern M1 Mac in future, or maybe when I switch to Linux or whatever. So what we will be using is run watch. So I use that a lot. That doesn't seem to be as expensive. And I also use the file watcher. For some reason, running these watchers inside of the container doesn't make my MacBook heat up as much. So there's that.